Recovery Ecosystem Podcast is an initiative of Detroit Recovery Project, Incorporated. Our mission is to support sustained recovery, health, and wellness.
Okay, so today's chapter focuses on recreational activities. First, I'll take a moment and read an excerpt from the book as it relates to recreational activities, recovery ecosystem protective factors. So recreational activities act as a protective factor because they make life fun and adventurous. A person in recovery needs to replace the constant activity of drug seeking with a balanced life of work, rest, and play. If that equation is out of balance, it puts the person at risk of relapse. Recreational activities give people breaks from work and other life obligations. When people are refreshed, they can approach all aspects of their lives with enthusiasm and renewed energy. Looking forward to or engaging in recreational activities produce feelings of relaxation, happiness, excitement, joy, and contentness. Individuals in recovery need to engage in healthy, stress-relieving recreational activities so they are not drawn back to seeking temporary relief from drugs and alcohol. And so for me, I remember early in life, one of the things I used to admire was watching people who rode motorcycles. And I developed a genuine, just a appreciation for motorcycle riders. And when I became older, let's just say, when I had the means to get a motorcycle, I got a motorcycle. And I was so excited about riding the motorcycle. I remember going into the dealership buying a motorcycle, did not have motorcycle endorsements. I just bought and never even been taught how to ride a motorcycle. And I was so enthusiastic and determined to ride. I bought a motorcycle and figured out how to drive it all the way back home. Now I did have some experience with being nervous because I got on the freeway for the first time on a motorcycle. And it was a different kind of experience. But later, throughout the summer, I became extremely skillful with riding a motorcycle, and I started just appreciating the tranquility of just feeling the air hit me during my rides as a motorcyclist. So I have now a lot of different hobbies and recreation. I enjoy swimming. I enjoy yoga, particularly restorative yoga, which is a form of yoga and relaxation and meditation. I enjoy playing pool. I enjoy basketball. So it's so many things that I do to refresh myself. And I think oftentimes when people are engaged in maladaptive behaviors, they need a new outlet. They need a way to use that energy. And so I found people who found a lot of joy and passion in bowling, playing, weekly basketball. And regardless of what age you may be, finding that your these groups that align with your age. Now one of the things I've been seeing over an increase over the last few years is a sport called pickleball. People are playing pickleball. I got a 60-year-old friend who says he wakes up every morning. This is a real hardcore brother from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, who's semi-retired in St. Pete, Florida. And he say, man, I get up and I play pickleball every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. I say, really? Then he say, I'm usually the only black man out there playing pickleball. And I love it, Trey. And I say, you love pickleball? I don't even know what it looked like. I haven't even seen it, but he's enjoying playing pickleball for physical health purposes, because we know the more active we are, the better our bodies are going to be, especially as we continue to get older in life. It's just best to stay physically active. And that's some of the benefit of having a fun and a recreational activity, whether it's riding a bicycle, rather it's going for a walk in the park. You know, physically you may not be in the most best of shape, then do small things. Go for a walk in the park. But find something to do, you know. When I used to live in Los Angeles, I used to look forward to the weekends, and I would literally walk through Venice Beach and walk up on the chess player and sit down and play chess for 2-3 hours on Venice Beach. I think it's important to just explore, you know, be adventurous. I think sometimes we put the energy into being adventurous in a more like negative way. And now we can flip it and be more adventurous in a more positive way. And what I mean by that is not putting ourselves at risk, not putting our freedom, not putting our bodies, or anything not practicing risque behaviors, and practice more positive behaviors, pro-social recreational activities. That's going to help mitigate individuals from falling into negative patterns in life, because there's so many traps out here, so many vices out here, that it's so easy to get caught up on the wrong thing or get caught up being with the wrong person. And so again, we want to encourage and empower people to empower themselves. Find out something you like. And if you don't know what it is you like, then you got some work to do. And that work is going to start on the inside. That work is going to start internally. Chapter 4 is about recreational activities. Recreational activities. Let me correct myself. I get so excited because I'm thinking about just leaving this studio today and going to ride my motorcycle. That's a level of peace. But, I also enjoy simple stuff like throwing barbecue, throwing a steak on the grill, and watching that meat change. I enjoy tenderizing the meat in the beginning. It's the small, sometimes it could be the small things in life that we have to learn how to appreciate. And for me, it could be sitting in my backyard listening to the birds chirp. I even had a moment yesterday where I was just watching the squirrel. It was just squirreling around the black. It was 3 squirrels, 2 blacks and 1 like brown squirrel. And you can tell it looked like they were some little kids having fun, looking at each other and doing circles around the grass, circles around the trees. I think again, for me, is how do we begin to look in our environment and see how our environment can influence us to think and be more healthy, and influence us to be more positive, but also have some gratitude, have some appreciation, have some present moments of just being okay with the way you are right now, right here, right now. When is the last time you pause? And that in itself can be a recreational activity, is being able to just pause and enjoy the moment. And some would say breathe. Follow your breath. And that helps to relax your internal system. I'm drawing a blank on the actual professional word that's often used, but we all know it's like your central nervous system. It helps to relax your central nervous system. It helps to decrease stress. We a society that's always stressed, always running, always have timelines, always have deadlines. but we don't make time for ourselves. Making time for self, making time for recreational activity adds vitality to your life. So I'm going to take another moment to read. You know what? I'll just highlight some of the spiritual principles that I identified in recreational activity. The first spiritual principle is change. The second one is open-mindedness, and the third one is freedom. Change is defined as the ability to make different in some particular, to undergo transformation, transition, or substitution. Some people in recovery and not in recovery find it hard to play, to give themselves time to refresh and relax. They will have to use the spiritual principle of change to try new activities and put those activities on the schedule. Additional recreational activities to one's life can transform one's body, mind, and spirit. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to help people with their transformation. And as we help people with their transformation, we're being conscious of the body, the mind, and that inner spirit. And some of the recreational activities can help integrate and bring the three together. Because if you're working out, if you're having fun, and you're doing things that helps you to enjoy life, it helps to connect you with your inner body, mind, and spirit. Oftentimes, there's a disconnection. And that's why, again, in each chapter, I highlighted certain principles, but this chapter in particular talks about change. And then open-mindedness means the ability to be open to trying something new. Now, I have to, I remember when I was open to learning about yoga. Now, I had some preconceived notions about what yoga was, but when I tried it, it was like I fell in love. It was something that, when people laughed at me, they were like, "Your big ass be doing yoga." Yeah, I will do it. I ain't no expert, but I found some value in it. I found some appreciation in it. I found some benefit. And the greatest benefit has been relaxing, finding some and having some peace. And so again, I challenge you to be open-minded when people present opportunities, because sometimes I think people can be quick to be dismissive or shut things down because of limited exposure and experiences. And then thirdly, freedom. I think as we continue to live through our life, we want to have some freedom. And freedom can come in the form of not necessarily just financial, but physical health freedom. To have the freedom to go for a walk, to have the freedom to go for a run. Because I know people who've lost their limbs. I know people who've had significant life-threatening challenges and talked about how they wish they can do this all over again, or talk about how they wish they would have did something different. And so we have to have an opportunity to really appreciate our freedom. And that's being mentally free, because there's bondage that comes with vices and substances. And so for me, it's how do we stay mentally free from the BS out here? Because the BS is out here. As I've watched people obsessed with social media to the point where their whole mood changed. I've watched people have what they thought loving, healthy, happy relationships with people they met in social media and never, people may be on the other side of the world. And they would be talking about this person as if they seeing this person every day, but they are seeing the fictitious person on social media. And so again, I think freedom can, help us to not feed into some of the stuff that the traps, because there are traps out here that'll suck you in. But let me just read one more paragraph as I conclude with this particular chapter. In order to enjoy recreational activities, there are certain spiritual principles that must be applied. There are many spiritual principles listed on our RES graphic that are important for enjoying recreational activities. The three we will examine for this component of RES are change, open-mindedness, and freedom. Healthy friends, mentor, sponsor will play a key role in helping individuals in recovery recognize the spiritual principles that are or are not being used in each of the recreational activity categories. So again, I just want to encourage and talk about or get people to think about how recreational activities can also help individuals to have new recovery ecosystem connections. And so I've met all types of people riding my motorcycle over the years, all walks of life, and befriended people. I've met other people in spaces like playing basketball on a regular basis, and got some new basketball friends, and we can watch games and talk, or in other venues. So I think, having those connections helps us to connect with other people. And again, this can involve, having healthy friends, mentors, and sponsors. A casual comment from a mentor while fishing can change the person's life. That's going to be a new activity that I plan to embark upon this year, is going fishing. I'm going to go to buy me some fishing rods and buy me some bait, and I think I got to get a fishing license. And I have quite a few friends who talk about going ice fishing in the wintertime, or friends who just go fishing all type of hours and nights, and how calming and relaxing it is. I'm open to that kind of stuff. Now, when I was a teenager, I'll be like, oh, that's too slow. I need something a little more fast, a little more beat. I'm looking for a nightclub or somewhere to turn up. But as I age gracefully, I appreciate the quiet, the peace, and having the freedom to kind of move the way I would like to move in life. So I hope you've all found this chapter beneficial. I would encourage you all, if you haven't got your recovery ecosystem book, you're running late, you need to get it. It's a hot book that's really helping people tap into their inner selves to ultimately transform. Thank you so much. Bye.
The Recovery Ecosystem Podcast is produced by Detroit Recovery Project, Incorporated. If you or someone you know needs support for substance use or mental health, call 313-365-3100 or visit recoveryfordetroit.com. You are not alone.